Hi guys, this is Dr. Henkel, and here are the hints, which are going to be the last ones for chapter 35. So, number one says, Minerva filia Jovis nata est plena scientiae et ingenii. There's not too much difficult to this, and in fact, you can do it in the word order that it's written in. The only things that I wanted to point out are that Minerva and philia are both in the nominative, and so this is in a positive. That is to say, philia restates Minerva. And both are the subject of nata est, which is a deponent verb from nascor, nasci, nata sum. I'm going to stop giving you the definition, so look this one up if you haven't already seen it. Anyway, try it in the order that it's written. Scientii and ingenii are both genitive with plena. Number two says, Custodiae, si cum duce nostro libere luquantur, et huic tyrannum trarre conentur, sine periculo ex moenibus urbis protinus egridi possent. It's a long sentence. The most important thing to note about this is that from C through loquantur and conentur is the protasis, so the if part of a future less vivid condition. So future less vivid conditions, remember, are should, would. I'm having trouble drawing straight. They use present subjunctives. So we've got loquantur in the present, conentur in the present, and possent in the protasis. That's the apodosis in the present. So if they should do this, they would do this. And the subject of those verbs is actually outside of the if clause. It's the custodiae. So try it like this. Si custodiae loquantur libere cum duce nostro, et, understand another if, conentur trarre tyrannum huic, egredi possent ex moenibus urbis protinus sine periculo. Number three says, parere legibus aequis melius est quam tyranno serviere. This sentence has two infinitives that are being compared. Parere est melius quam servire. So that means that this one serves as the nominative subject, and this one is in the nominative, again, because quam compares the two. So melius is the irregular comparative of bonus. Both of these, incidentally, are verbs that take the dative. So parere, legibus aequis, and servire, tyranna. I'm not going to tell you what they mean. You can look it up. You can try it like this, though. Parere legibus aequis, est melius quam servire tyranno. Number four. Cum optime honoribus usus esset, et sibi civitatem semper anteponerat, etiam plebs ei credebat, et non invidebat. So we start with the cum clause, right? So cum, if it doesn't come with an ablative after it, it's probably, and if you see a subjunctive in it especially, it's probably a cum clause. I said it runs through usus esset, but really it runs down here through anteponeret. So two verbs, and first one's in the pluperfect, second one's in the imperfect. Both of those tell us we're in secondary sequence because the main verb, credebat and rodebat, is in a past tense. A couple other things to note. Usus esset is from utor, and utor takes the ablative. So usus esset honoribus. Credo, credere, credebat here, takes a dative. And antepono is this verb that we talked about in class. It takes both an accusative and a dative. And remember what happens is that the accusative receives the force of the verb, and the dative receives the force of the prefix. So poneret civitatem ante sibi. If you want to do it in English word order, you'll say cum usus esset honoribus optime, et, understand cum again, cum semper anteponerent civitatem sibi, again, ponerent civitatem ante sibi, etiam plebs ei credebat, et non invidebat. Number 5, diu passa, mater vestra feliciter, sedens apodemicos mortua est. There's several deponent verbs in here. So passa is the first one from patior, pati, passa sum. And mortua est is from morior, mori, mortuus sum. Both of those are third conjugation. You can tell because it just has an I here in the infinitive instead of an ARI or an ERI or an IRI. The other thing I wanted to point out is sedanes is the present participle from sedeo, sedere, sedi, sessum. So mater, nominative, pasudia, sedanes apodemicos, and here's the main verb, mortua est. You could try it in this order if you want to do it in a different way. Number 6, philosophi consilium spectaverunt, et recusaverunt talem rem suscipere mulirive. First thing I want to point out, remember that we is like que. It's an enclitic. It comes after the second word that it joins together. But instead of meaning and, it means or. So suscipere molire is like saying suscipere out moliri. The other thing I wanted to point out is that moliri is a deponent verb. So looks passive, actually active, from molior, moliri, molitus sum, to work at, build, or undertake. English word order would be philosophi spectaverunt consilium, et recusaverunt suscipere molirive talem rem. Number 7 says, cum dive sis atque divitiae crescant, tamen opibus tuis parcere vis, et neminiasim offeres. First thing to note is that we start with the cum clause. Because we see this tamen, nevertheless, we know that this cum clause is adversative, although. So, although sis dives et divitiae crescant, tamen parcere opibus tuis vis, et neminiasim offeres. The other thing I wanted to point out relative to grammar is parcere is a verb that takes the dative. It means to spare. You can hear to be sparing toward, to be sparing to, right? Opibus tuis. Offero is just a normal verb. It takes an accusative direct object, and this is a dative indirect object. So if you want to look at English word order, you'll say cum dive sis atque divitiae crescant, both of those are this cum clause. Tamen vis parcere opibus tuis, et offeres neminiassem. Number 8 says, ab illa insula subito profectus, eadem nocte ad patriam nave advenet. Tum, quaerens remissionem animae, diu rusticabatur. Got a couple of deponent verbs. Profectus up here is from proficiscor, this strange but really important word that means to set out. Rusticabatur down here is from rusticor, rusticari. We got two participles too. Profectus is one of them. It looks like a perfect passive participle, but it's deponent, so it's perfect active. And then down here we've got quaerens, which is a present active participle. English word order would be subito profectus ab illa insula, advenit ad patriam eadem nocte nave. Tum, quaerens remissionem animae, diu rusticabatur, or rusticabatur diu. Number 9 says, hic miles cum imperatori vestro non placeret, hel illa praemia promissa amisset. We've got the same thing going on here that we had above with a condition. Hic miles belongs inside this clause, right? Down here, we're going to say cum hic miles non placeret imperatori vestro. The reason why it's placed outside the clause is that it's also the subject of amisset. And so because it goes with the main clause, it's not put inside the subordinate clause. So that's a sort of finer point of Latin grammar and style. A couple of things. Causal cum clause here. Cum placeret imperatori vestra. Cum non placeret. It's got an imperfect subjunctive because we're in secondary sequence after a main verb that's past tense. Placeo placere takes a dative, so imperatori vestra. You could say, cum hic miles non placeret imperatori vestro. Hell, alas, amisit illa primia promissa. Promissa is the perfect passive participle from promitto, so having been blanked. Three more. Number 10. Nisi mores pares scientiae sunt, id nobis fatendum est, scientia nobis magnopere nocere potest. Couple of things to point out here. One, the very first one is we've got this passive periphrastic here. You haven't heard that word in a little bit, but remember, passive periphrastic is a gerundive combined with the verb to be. We use it to indicate necessity. It's always necessity in the passive, right? So it must be blanked, fatendum est. And it uses a dative of agent, so nobis. One verb that takes the dative, nocere. And then pares is an adjective. It modifies mores, and it takes a dative too, scientiae. So English word order, nisi mores sunt pares scientiae, id nobis fatendum est, scientia potest nocere nobis magnopere. Remember, magnopere is a strange adverb from magnus, We would expect it to form an adverb in magne. It doesn't. Instead, it does this weird word, magnopere, by great force, by great work, by great labor. It means greatly. Number 11, two more. Magistratum rogavit duos parvos pueros, quote digitos aberent. We have an indirect question here. Remember, indirect questions start with question words. They have a subjunctive in them, and they report the content of a question or a statement. So rogavit, this question, quote digitos aberent. We're in the imperfect subjunctive because we're in secondary sequence after a past tense verb, rogavit. So that's a perfect tense verb. Real quick, ask yourself, do you remember the tenses of the secondary sequence? Try and count them off real quick. 1, 2, 3. No? Maybe you do. The answer is imperfect, perfect, and pluperfect. These are main verb tenses, usually in the indicative. And if you have one of those three tenses, your subordinate clause in the subjunctive will have to use secondary sequence. All right, English word order, tum magistra rogavit duos parvos pueros. Here's your indirect question, quote digitos aberent. Last one. Mater candida natae carissimae subridet, quam maxime fulvet, et ei plurima oscula suavia dat. Couple of things. Subrideo is a verb that takes the dative, to smile at someone, natae carissimae. Quam plus the superlative, quam maxime, you may remember is as blank as possible, with either a superlative adjective or adverb. AE is in the dative, but it's a normal indirect object. Dot, plurima oscula suavia, AE. Here's your sentence. Mater candida subridet natae carissimae. Fulvet, understand eam as the object. Quam maxime, et dot AE plurima oscula suavia. Okay, I hope that helps. I will look forward to seeing you guys in class. Walete.